Greenland, the frozen key America refuses to lose. The place that sees the end first. There are places on Earth where no wars are officially fought, no explosions on the evening news, no ruined cities on your screen. And yet, these places are watched more closely than any battlefield. Because if the world ever breaks, if the unthinkable ever launches, someone has to see it first. Greenland is one of those places. A massive island, silent, white, almost empty. And for more than 70 years, it has never disappeared from America's most secret military maps. So the real question is not why Donald Trump wanted to buy Greenland. The real question is, what exactly is Greenland worth? And why does the United States behave as if losing it would be catastrophic? Part 1. The Island That Sees the End. August 2019. Donald Trump is President of the United States. Standing before the press, he says something the world treats like a joke. The United States wants to buy Greenland. People laugh. Denmark calls it absurd. Journalists turn it into comedy. The internet turns it into memes. A superpower trying to buy a frozen island. It sounds ridiculous. But history tells us something uncomfortable. America does not joke about land. It never has. In 1803, it bought Louisiana and doubled its size. In 1867, it bought Alaska from Russia. A deal mocked as madness. Both were laughed at. Both became strategic masterpieces. Trump didn't invent this idea. He said out loud what American military planners had been thinking quietly for decades. Trump spoke the language he knows. Real estate. The Pentagon heard something else. Control. Denial. Survival. The American story with Greenland begins in 1941. Franklin D. Roosevelt is president. The world is burning in World War II. Nazi Germany is expanding into the North Atlantic. U-boats are hunting supply lines. Arctic weather stations decide air battles thousands of miles away. So the United States quietly moves into Greenland, not to settle it, not to free it, but to stop someone else from controlling it. Airfields appear, weather stations are built, military infrastructure spreads across empty land. From that moment, Greenland stops being a distant island. It becomes a forward position, a place powerful men begin to see, not as land, but as advantage. In 1951, under President Harry Truman, the United States and Denmark signed a defense agreement. It allows America to build and operate military bases across Greenland. Soon after, Thule Air Base is established, one of the northernmost military bases on Earth. Officially defensive. In reality, a cornerstone of America's nuclear warning system, because the Cold War reveals a terrifying truth. The shortest path for Soviet missiles to reach American cities is not across oceans. It is over the Arctic, over Greenland, which means Greenland is not far away. It is directly in the path of extinction. Radar in Greenland is designed for one purpose, to see the end before it arrives. And in nuclear war, minutes are everything. Minutes to detect, minutes to decide, minutes to respond. Greenland gives America those minutes. Part 2. The Ice That Hid the Unthinkable. In 1959, under President Dwight Eisenhower, the United States begins building something extraordinary. Deep under Greenland's ice, engineers carve out a hidden city. Its name is Camp Century, a nuclear-powered base inside a glacier. Dormitories, laboratories, long tunnels stretching through frozen darkness. Officially, a scientific research station. In reality, Camp Century is a test, a prototype, for a plan far more disturbing. In the early 1960s, during the presidency of John F. Kennedy, classified documents described the real project, Project Iceworm, a plan to dig thousands of kilometers of tunnels beneath Greenland and hide hundreds of nuclear missiles inside the ice. Mobile, dispersed, almost impossible to destroy. If this plan had succeeded, Greenland would have become a buried missile continent, an entire nuclear arsenal frozen beneath the Arctic. But the ice refused to cooperate. It shifted, it cracked, the tunnels warped. By 1966, the project was quietly abandoned. Camp Century was dismantled, but not everything was removed. Greenland had already been transformed, not just into a shield, but into a vault. January 1968. Lyndon B. Johnson is president. A US B-52 bomber crashes near Thule Air Base. On board, nuclear weapons. Greenland does not explode, but radioactive material spreads across the ice. Cleanup teams arrive. Secrecy agreements are signed. And part of the Cold War is literally buried. Greenland does not only watch nuclear war, it once absorbed it. The ice closes again, and Greenland returns to silence. Invisible, but never abandoned, through the 1970s, 80s, and 90s. From Nixon to Reagan to Bush to Clinton. Greenland almost disappears from public attention, but it never disappears from military planning. Thule remains active, radar is upgraded, surveillance systems are modernized. Greenland becomes part of America's global early warning network. No speeches, no ceremonies, only maintenance. Because once a great power builds part of its survival system somewhere, that place stops being optional. It becomes strategic, emotional, and dangerous to lose. When ice began to change power. Part 3: Why Greenland Matters Now. In 2004, under President George W. Bush, the United States upgrades Arctic radar as part of its missile defense program. The Cold War is over, but the sky is still watched. Under Barack Obama, Arctic strategy officially returns. Military documents begin calling the Arctic a future strategic theater. Why? Because the ice is melting. Shipping routes are opening. And what was once unreachable is becoming accessible. When ice retreats, geography changes. And when geography changes, power moves. Beneath Greenland's ice are not just rocks. There are rare earth elements, uranium, nickel, cobalt, materials essential for precision weapons, satellites, radar systems, electric vehicles, artificial intelligence. If oil powered the 20th century, these materials power the 21st. They are the blood supply of advanced civilization. Whoever controls them controls how fast the future can be built. Greenland is not only a military platform, it is a resource vault, and vaults attract attention. Russia has militarized the Arctic faster than any nation on Earth. New bases, new missile systems, the largest icebreaker fleet on the planet. This is not symbolism, it is preparation. China takes a different path. Investment, mining interests, infrastructure projects, scientific missions. China calls itself a near-Arctic state, not because of geography, but because of ambition. And the United States watches both. Because Greenland is not protected by distance, it is protected only by relevance, and relevance invites competition. America does not fear invasion. It fears drift, economic dependence, political influence, strategic realignment, a future where Greenland is still Greenland, but its critical decisions quietly align somewhere else. This is how modern power works, not through flags, but through contracts. And once leverage exists, security always follows. So when Trump said, "Buy Greenland," He was not proposing a transaction. He was revealing an anxiety. Because America does not simply want Greenland, it fears a world where Greenland is no longer safely American-aligned. When Donald Trump said he wanted Greenland, the world heard a joke. History heard a confession. Greenland does not need to be purchased. It is already being positioned by climate, by technology, by competition. And the most unsettling thing about Greenland is not what we know. It is how little we are meant to know about what lies beneath the ice and whose future it is truly meant to protect. Because when the ice finally retreats far enough, the next great conflict may not begin in deserts or cities, but in the places where power waited silently for decades under the ice, fade to black.